Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more. Imagine having the desire to build an empire only to achieve the outcome and realize it wasn't what you truly wanted. I got to chat with Matt Stillone today, who is the Managing Director of Integrity Food Co., Protein Supplies Australia, Botanica Blends, and Flexible Foods. He's won the Business News Australia's Young Entrepreneur Award for manufacturing, wholesale, and distribution, and he's an incredible bloke. I was very fortunate to meet Matty last year at a Movember event, and we got chatting about a whole range of stuff and what the next steps for his life are. And from the outside looking in, he has everything. But what we speak about throughout this episode is seeking better, growing through the struggle, and realizing that once he got everything he ever wanted, he realized he in fact wanted nothing. And thinking about how do you want people to really remember you. This conversation is not only, we touch on the success that he's created through business and employing a buckload of people, but more so the fulfillment and the challenges that he had to grow through. So it's definitely relatable if you're an ambitious person who is always chasing progress, that's for sure. Now, before we dive into today's episode, please take a moment if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube to leave a review. Every time you leave a review, it helps more men who are looking for a cool podcast to listen to go, hey, that's something that many other blokes have recommended listening to, and it really helps me out. So I really, truly appreciate that support. The second thing, we're kicking off another 12-week game plan today, which is very exciting. Now we start new game plans within our Strong Men of Value Academy the start of every month. So if you're looking to create momentum, set a goal, and be provided with tools, strategies, and an incredible group of blokes who will hold you accountable, this is the academy for you. You can check out more at themanthatcanproject.com/Strong Men of Value, and you can apply today. I look forward to seeing you join the academy. But for now, let's dive into today's episode with Matt. The Man That Can Project podcast, a podcast empowering career-driven men to live more fulfilling lives. We are here to challenge your beliefs, redefine success, and talk about the important stuff in a relatable way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. My name's Lachie Stuart. Let's get into it. Matty, mate, thanks so much for getting amongst it this Arvo. It's been a long time coming. I know we've both been
shocker, man.
Super busy.
Yeah.
But I'm very stoked. We were connected at a Lululemon event in last November, I think. It was a Movember event.
End of last year or something.
Yeah. And we hit it off.
We did.
One tea and mate,
one tea. Yeah.
You've achieved some very cool stuff. But you're also such a real individual. Like, when I first met you, were like, yep. I don't think I understood the enormity of what you've created in all the companies that you run, but just what we connected and what we were talking about was so relatable for myself and so many other people that I get to speak to in all areas of my life. So I guess a quick little rundown to everyone who's listening, like who is Matt?
Who is Matt? That's a great question.
It's a fun question to answer, isn't it?
He's an extremely attractive man that I know.
Well, I was on your Instagram before and the shirt and you're like, I don't know about this shirt. I like it.
I was having one of those ugly days, I think.
We all have them.
Yeah, who is Matt? That's a great question. Well, I like to be defined more than what I've, achieved in this life when it comes to like physical things, like business, for example. Like obviously I'm very passionate about health and giving consumers better options. So I've basically evolved my career around that. And I own multiple companies in the health food and sports supplement industry where we develop products and manufacture products for various businesses, but we also have our own brands and that we do as well nationally and globally. So
was that something you always wanted to do from like a young age, or how'd you sort of get there?
Yeah, so my parents, I was born in Western Sydney, in the city, and my dad was quite an alternative thinking sort of person and got sick of the rat race with my mum pretty much and decided to move us to a place called Nimbin, New South Wales.
Nimbin.
Nimbin.
It's got a reputation.
It does, sure does. Well, a place called Coffee Camp, which is right next to Nimbin basically. But, 110 acres on an organic farm. My family, we started an organic farm and farmed that, and my family also started a health food store in Lismore. So it's literally been a part of my life forever. It's like literally in my blood. My dad's a naturopath as well, like for almost 50 years now, I think.
Yeah, wow.
So, but it's funny when you're growing up in that environment, you want nothing a part of it. Like, I grew up veggie as well, vegetarian. So, my mates are eating meat and Maccas and all this stuff. I wasn't allowed any of that stuff. So, I was very resentful.
Was that choice, or was that something your parents sort of said to do? Or
my parents really. It was a positive influence. Like, I'm grateful for it now. Like, like the things that have been instilled in me and just the consciousness of what I'm consuming and what I'm like, how things come from the land and, from that farming experience too and stuff. It's so funny because, like I said, in my later years and teenage years, I hated living out in the bush. I hated I wanted to fancy everything. I grew up in a rock home. So my family built a rock home from rocks on the property. Wow. It's like a little hut thing. We was like, bathing in dam water for years. And
bro, like this is like ancient stuff. This is unreal.
So it's really funny for me because I see all these trends now happening and stuff, and I've been about that life forever. So it's funny,
like, mate, I did this 30 years ago.
So people just think I'm like some sort of capitalist guy that just got into the trend of like go and sell protein powders, but or health food supplements. But I really was immersed in it since I was born. So, coming from that, living that way, very not primitive, but very like humble.
Well, you're learning to utilize what's around you to survive. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And then, but the envy was like all my friends lived in, moderate to nice houses, swimming pools, and like lived in the town, and had nicer cars or whatever, all those things that you think you want when you're a kid. So I wanted nothing to do with that life that I was brought into in my later years, in my teenage years. And then I just obsessed over being, having things I never had. So
why do you think that was?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why do I think that? Grass is greener, maybe. I think a lot of things I was easily influenced by, whether it be culturally, like with people I was hanging around with as well, wanting to have money, wanting to have designer clothes, wanting to have fast cars, fancy things. I just always envied people a lot too. I think as a kid, is what people had. I remember, like my cousin listens to this, but I used to be really jealous of my cousins because I'd go to Sydney to visit them, and Christmas time, for example, we didn't really celebrate Christmas as a family or Easter in the traditional sense of like, let's do Easter egg hunts and let's give each other heaps of presents. My parents are like very much not about that at all. So I go to Sydney with my Italian side, especially, who have like, Christmas is such a thing, big lunches and everyone's giving and gifting and this and that. And, my cousins are getting all these like thousands of dollars spent on them. And I'd get some undies and I'd be so jealous. I was just always, as a kid, I was really jealous of like not having things. And I didn't grow up on the streets, but we grew up very humble. My parents were smart. Like they saved money. We had our own business and stuff, but my parents didn't care for things like that, which is nice. Like, but at that time, again, like
I can really relate to that.
Yeah. You grew up similar.
Yeah. Like we had housing and all that sort of stuff, but I was literally saying to a mate earlier today, because we were talking about clothes, and like I still wear basic like Bonds and not that there's anything, like I don't really care for branding stuff.
Yeah.
But I still remember when I was young, I never had it. And all my mates were wearing Billabong and Rip Curl and all that.
Piping hot.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Piping hot. Yeah. And all I ever wanted was just like a branded shirt. And the first one I bought, because I used to go to Mooloolaba and I just surf and skate all the time.
Yeah, awesome.
And the Volcom college shirt was the first one I got, and I held on to it till I was literally 18 because it was like the one brand. I would wear it all the time. People were like, don't you own anything else? I was like, well, not cool, like not branded. This is my one shirt. But now
you cherished it.
Yeah, now it's gone full circle. I'm like, I couldn't care for fashion. You know, don't get me wrong. My missus buys me nice shirts, but for me personally, if I go shopping, it's like I'll get white
basic stuff.
Basic stuff that costs $15, and I know I'll trash it and go again.
No, totally. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Yeah, I remember I used to really want Nike stuff, and Calvin Klein was a big thing for
Calvin
me.
Klein, man. The white trunks.
Bro, all right, this is the funniest thing. I've got pictures that I could share with you later. I used to get, this is so embarrassing, big thick strap undies, no brand, and hand draw Tommy Hilfiger on them and wear them to school. No way. I swear to God, my mum, my sister as well, used to pay me out all the time, and I'd be wearing these things thinking I was cool as. I got photos. I'll give you. Did you
still wear the baggy pants where you're asked?
Oh, yeah. 26 red. Do you remember those jeans? Those big baggy jeans. Yeah, and all that silly stuff when as a kid, you do that.
So impressionable.
Yeah.
But I think there's, I really, at the time I didn't appreciate not having those things, but now coming full circle, I'm so grateful that my parents helped me see the value in other things in life. I'm not a material. I'm sitting in my office now with cameras and lights everywhere, but the things that I spend money on mainly is travel and experiences, but also I invest it back in my business. It's not like I'm saving up for all of these sorts of things. Don't get me wrong. I like nice things, but it's also I'm quite content without it.
Yeah. It takes, for me, it's taken me probably most of my life to come to that spot though.
Yep.
From someone that didn't really have a lot growing up to wanting the world.
Yep.
And then getting the world. And then realizing that when you have all those things, it doesn't make you any better as a person or fulfill you or make you feel any happier. If not, it kind of makes you more... No, and this is not for everyone, but for me, this is my personal experience. It makes you feel even more empty because you've glorified things that mean nothing, and then you realize what's truly important. But it takes your journey to realize that sometimes, and it can be through years of chasing the feather in the wind. So,
what was it? Robbie Williams or Robin Williams, who was I can't remember what celebrity is I wish everyone could experience fame and wealth to realize it's not what you want.
Yeah.
And because we often think that people are living these lavish lifestyles, and there's always a different story going on underneath. And
for sure,
all of us have doubt, all of us have insecurities, all of us it's like that sunk cost fallacy where it's you may be the coolest thing at the moment. Tomorrow or next week or next year, someone's going to take over.
Yeah.
It happens in sport, it happens in business, it happens in life.
Yep.
And if we're always focused on those materialistic possessions, and once again, it's fine to want things. It's cool. Reward yourself. But if that becomes the sole purpose of everything going on in your life, you're going to feel pretty empty.
Yeah, I agree. And especially if you attach your identity to those things.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think I've fallen victim to that many times in my life, attaching my identity to, even down to the business sometimes too.
Yep.
And then you can kind of really lose yourself in that too.
Yeah. We'll come back to that shortly, but you were, from Lismore and all that sort of stuff, moving out, what made you leave Lismore and go to where you're going now?
Yeah, so I was 19 and had my son.
Yep.
And
who's 18 in the next week or so?
Yeah. 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's exciting, man.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? So, I had my son at 19 and by 21, 22, I became a solo parent, full custody of my son as well. And, growing up down that way and the way I lived, and I talked a little bit about being so attracted to money and things like that, it was very easy for me to fall into a lifestyle of, getting money on the side, a bit of a side hustle, which became a big side hustle for me. And things just got progressively worse for me. When I say that, I just surrounded myself with a lot of negative people and I wasn't really a nice person, I would say. When I reflect on myself, I always thought, when I had Carlo, my son's name, I thought I was a failure. Like I was like, you're a dropkick. You're just another statistic. In my head, that's the sort of chats I was having. So I was like,
how does it feel looking back and having those thoughts about yourself?
It's really sad, to be honest. It really upsets me. Like it's a very sensitive thing for me to think about. I get a little bit embarrassed about it, but the mindset at the time, that's where my head was at, and I couldn't get out of it. So I thought, well, if I'm going to think and feel that way, I may as well be that way. And I continued to behave that way for many years until you hit that rock bottom moment where something really gives. And it took a few things for me to kind of wake up, well, at least try to wake up to myself. And I stumbled many times after that initial moment. But there was a kind of a rock bottom moment where I got a little bit in trouble, and a few people around me ended up going to jail, and my mum was a huge sort of vocal point in, making me really be accountable for my actions and what I was doing with my life. And I kind of, from this one moment, I kind of woke up and I was like, I need to change. I need something new. And then I had a friend in Brisbane who was living up here. And so, man, he'd always say stuff like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And I reached out to him and was like, you still got that room? And packed up my house, literally cut off everyone that was kind of not serving me. And moved to Brisbane. I was probably in my mid-20s at that point. And
Carlo came with you?
Yeah, I brought my son up. Yeah, I was completely out. Yep.
Was that daunting for you?
Oh man, it was crazy, that experience for me. I definitely had some form of a PTSD. So what I developed from there was that I developed a bit of a anxiety and phobia around being outside. It was weird. Went through this stage where I was like very anxious and always like looking around and thinking something bad was going to happen to me. I don't know what it was, whether it was guilt or something that was following me. So I found it really hard to adjust to what people would say like a normal lifestyle, because I was operating at like some sort of like higher level of stress all the time. That coming to something normal and calm didn't feel normal and right for me. Something was wrong. So then that affected like work as well, because I also took that mentality into the previous sort of lifestyle I was living into work. The only thing I knew was health food, right? So I went and worked in a health food store, and, I became really disenchanted in life quickly when I was making $400-500 a week and doing Monday to Saturday, Thursday night shift, Saturday, put my son in before and after school care. And I'm like, I could make this money in a week. This is fucking shit. I should go back to what I was doing. And I did do that. I actually did that a couple of times. And every single time I did it, I got something bad happen to me. So it was like the universe was like telling me like, you got to pull out of this. You got to stop doing it. And eventually just everything come together. Yeah.
It's crazy how the world works. And I think if you're open to change, like you put yourself in that position by moving cities, like, which can be a daunting thing. Plus you're single parent. But then getting in that position and realizing you just wanted more from life, opportunities start to show up when you're prepared to look for them. And I feel there's so many, like I feel everyone has the ability to do some incredible shit, but it's the doubt, the fear, the not taking risks that hold us back. And it's so impressive when you hear people's stories like yours who have overcome that adversity. And to me, I'm just like, cool, moved, changed environment, took risk, and just like trusted your gut as well. And go back to the one thing that you know and love, man. Like when you start doing that, you find yourself in a really cool position. And it's sort of, I believe, because I moved and I did all these things and it got me to my level of success and what I want from my life. And all I've ever done is trusted my gut and just taken action. I still struggle with doubt. Even before you rolled in here, I'm fucking nervous. I'm like, what if I don't know what to say? Or, there's a
celebrity coming in.
It always happens, man. But it's just like, just roll with the punches and give it a crack, and you're only going to get better as a result of that. So then launching the company. How'd that start?
Well, I think like I've always been a risk taker in my life. If I look back at even when I was a child, so I always got off on taking risks. And I was never scared of it. Getting into starting a company, basically what happened to me was that I was sick of my life. Like I was so miserable, man. Suicidal. Where I knew there was something better for me, and I had this mindset that you can do better. It's funny, like transformative thing of like when I said before, I'm a scumbag, I'm a piece of shit. That was my headspace for many years. But when I came up here, that was huge for me. Like that was extremely scary. The scariest thing I've ever done.
Yep.
Like moving to a new city and, by myself. Yeah, like that's crazy. But then, because I was seeking better and more and willing to do the work for it. So then I got to that point in my life where I was sort of doing this 9-to-5 thing, and I'm like, I can't do this. This is not for me. I'm not going to sort of dance to someone else's rhythm, beating the drum, whatever.
I was trying to think about what it was. I was like, yeah.
And it just became more and more miserable with that. So to the point where what happened to me was I got a job in the Valley and I was working in a pharmacy group. And so I saw, again, another side of the industry, working in pharmacy, same in health still. And I started selling supplements and things like that, and sort of getting a background of how these big sort of pharmas work. And I was like, at the time I was working on myself and my health in particular, so I was using supplements and stuff, and then started doing more and more research. And I also studied nutrition as well. So I had this, very big awareness of like what I was putting in my body as well at the time. Anyway, I'm like, I got to do something else. And I had this really idea at the time. I was like, oh, maybe I could make a protein powder. That'd be cool. Whatever. And just always you go in my head, oh, yeah, whatever. And then, like I said, one day I was driving into the Valley and I just had a massive panic attack. It was like so loud in my head that I wanted to neck myself, honestly. And I did a U-turn, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning on the Story Bridge, all the cars stopped. Everyone, yeah, man. Like I had an absolute, them out of body panic attacks. I don't know if you get any anxiety or depression.
I get yeah.
So that full out of body sort of feeling I had, and I kind of feel like I didn't know what I was doing. Turned around, went home, rang my boss. I was like, I can't come in, and I sat with that, and that's when I started working on my business. Like that day, I sat there and I was like, I need to do something with my life. I'm not happy. I'm not happy here, and that's when the magic really started happening for me.
So with the panic attacks and stuff like that, you're saying the out of body one. Like I've only ever had one super fucking bad one.
Yeah.
But then I'm always anxious when I'm focusing on not being good. All this sort of stuff and depression. But for the panic attack, what do you feel brought that on? Like in reflection,
knowing that I should be doing something better with my life and not being real and true to myself.
Yeah, so not
doing true to myself.
In alignment, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I truly, it's something that I'm exploring now. Like I speak to a lot of people now and people are saying, I've got ADHD. It seems to be like the most common thing. And a lot of people obviously aren't tested for that. I'm like, okay, well, are we just becoming... more people are being born with ADHD, or is just the world so busy and we've got so many distractions and so many people who aren't really in alignment with who they are as individuals? Is that why we're sort of going down that sort of track? And it's always interesting to me around a lot of mental health stuff. Is it because of our lifestyles more so than us as individuals?
I would absolutely agree with that. I think there's a lot of contributing factors to it, but I think a lot of it comes down to, firstly, like lifestyle and how people are actually living, but, escaping to and using certain things to escape the truth inside themselves. And there's loud voices that, like I talked about before on the Story Bridge, that are telling you that you could do something or be better or whatever it may be, but you keep ignoring it because it's scary.
Yep.
So it's scary to look inside yourself. And so we all try and avoid it in some way and form. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think it is scary?
Because it's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard work. Doing the work is extremely difficult and it's traumatizing, and it can be it makes you feel emotions and things that you don't want to feel that.
A lot of blokes definitely aren't.
Why would you want to feel sad, or why would you want to feel like terrified or whatever it may be? So let's go and drink beer and let's go and fucking party and get girls, and that's literally
rinse and repeat.
I can tell you that my life I've done all that. I've been there, done that, and hidden for so many years of my life, man. And you could even say that through business I hid from myself, because it was just another thing to distract myself. But in a sense, it was more a healthier version of things. But yeah.
Definitely. I think you're spot on with, I guess, avoidance tools and even fitness, for example, for me at points in my life has been a way for me to have unhealthy habits and stuff like that. Because I think moderation's important, being aware of why you're doing certain things and what it's delivering for you. Because there's so many things in my life where I'm like, I'm just avoiding what's going on. And, you know, even if I'm trying to justify it as a healthy thing. So it's important to sort of be able to reflect and take ownership with that. I just had a psychologist on earlier today. She was talking a lot about that, but a lot of the stuff that she was even talking about was like the main things that stood out for me was reflection, like taking the time and giving yourself the time. And we all have the ability to reflect, but like you said, it's uncomfortable because we have to peel back those layers and acknowledge things about ourselves. But I think when you can accept where you are, you've now got, you know, that foundation to build upon. And if you don't like where you're at, or if you don't like certain things about yourself, fucking change it.
For sure.
No one, like, otherwise you're just going to, bury the hatchet and carry on. It's just going to eventually fester up, like you said, and you'll do a U-turn on the Story Bridge potentially and fucking head home and deal with it. Yeah.
I think too, sometimes it's hard to, you know, I think as humans, well, not all humans, because I've met some people recently who disagree with me, but I feel like we all want to feel a sense of purpose, there's some sort of reason why we're here and have a vision.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people maybe struggle to have a vision because they don't know, or they're too scared to pursue the vision that they really think. They think it's unattainable.
Yes.
But I don't think that there's anything unattainable in this life, and that's kind of always how I've been. I mean, obviously I can't fly. That'd be cool. But
oh, Elon Musk might come up with something.
You know, like so I think that is also very much a contributing factor to, you know, the way that people in this day and age are feeling. You know, lack of maybe directional vision could be a big part of that too.
I guess something that would be helpful for those listening who don't have the purpose or lack direction, like for you now, and sort of cutting corners here, but like looking at the direction for where you want to go moving forward, like has that been an easy thing to come to terms with? Or because obviously you've built this empire, right? You've got, you know, and what I think you started with like $5,000 or $3,000.
Yeah, not much.
And you've built a fucking empire, and you're still, you know, you're still in the thick of things. Like you still show up every day and do all that sort of stuff, which is insane, mate.
Reluctantly.
I was before, before I was like complaining about how busy I am. Then I looked over at you and I was like, what the fuck am I even?
Honestly, man, like comparison wise, like this is what I always say to people. Like I hate getting that comparison of like your busyness and my business, or you've got your own thing. You know, regardless of what it is or how it is, you're still very much feeling the same way I am. You know what I mean? Our responsibilities might be a little bit different, but it doesn't really matter. We're all like equally suffering in ways. Like it's hard. So you say suffering then. So from the I sound so negative right now, but it's not always that way.
I think the most important thing is people have an idea of who you are and how your life is, and you know, we can watch on Instagram and all these social channels, and obviously you're extremely successful in what you do, so people definitely have these preconceived ideas.
Yeah, they do. People only share what they are willing for you to see. It's like, you know, that whole tip of the iceberg analogy. You know, you see this point. So when people look at me, they see the tip of the iceberg. They see all the fancy things, the fun, the lifestyle, all the things that you may want to talk about. Again, mainly social media is terrible for this, but, you know, the depth of me and what I've been through, people that are close to me know that there's been a lot of probably harder times and easier times in my life. For sure. And even through business, even while we're generating whatever your goal is, right? Or whatever, how you measure your success, it's always going to be hard. Like there's never a time you're kidding yourself if you wake up in the morning and think you're going to achieve anything and not have to burn yourself in some way to get there. Like I just think that's unrealistic. And I think that is exactly the biggest issue with a lot of the mindsets out there. So it's too hard, so fuck it, I'll stay in my pattern and I'll just live this way until probably I'm on my deathbed, and then I might say I'm sorry, I might regret 10 million things, but it's too late. So, and I don't want to be that person. So that's why I live the way I live and where I'm kind of going now in my life. So
I also see it from the flip side as well, where there's a lot of, you know, entrepreneurs, like the buzzword, and people want to start XYZ business in something, and they're like, but I can do it online and I can do it this way, and I'm just going to have good work-life balance. I'm like, that doesn't exist.
No,
like,
it really doesn't.
As you were saying, like in order to grow, there comes a level of stress, right? And if you don't have a good stress tolerance, which a lot of people don't. You just got to look at the amount of people who are on medications at the moment for stress and all, poor sleep, etc. It's like people don't have a good stress tolerance. So, but in order to gain the outcome that most people are looking for, it's why people go, I tried that, but now I'm back working a job even though I hate it. It's like, well, you need to understand maybe the first port of call for you is building your stress tolerance, because it's about to get fucking hectic.
Yes.
You're not having work-life balance for a number of years. And if you think you are, you're probably not going to achieve the goal that you want, if it's in business or whatever it is. Like, people will never understand, no one will ever understand what you've put into running the businesses. They'll hear you say, yeah, I worked this and I did that and I sacrificed this. It's like, but they'll never feel that. They'll never really understand what that's like. And that's why I am all for people going, like, having a crack and starting their business, because they're going to start to fucking realize just how hard it is. And we're running businesses all on different levels. And, the risk or output for a business or overheads, etc., is all different. But like, you've got factories and all kinds of, like, your overheads must be through the roof. So like stress from that and dealing with the number of employees that you have, I will never understand. But I just even know from what's going on in mine, I'm like, fuck, man.
Well, you may have that one day, like, things keep growing for you. You will have that journey too. Like, it's relative to what direction you're going to take. But you're right there. We all have different levels of responsibility at the same day. You've really got to walk it to understand it. And otherwise, you can just look at it from face value and make assumptions about how someone's living. But you will never know until you're in their shoes.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets? Like, if you...
heaps. Yeah. When people go, I have no regrets. But man, you're kidding yourself. Everyone has regrets, man.
Fucking oath, man.
I have so many girls I've kissed in the nightclub late at night. No, I'm joking. But no. No, regrets, honestly. Yeah, I do. Like, and I'm pretty honest about it. Like, my son's a blessing and really was a driving force to wanting to be a better human. And still is to this day. But if I was a bit smarter, I would have had him now. Because I'm a lot more mature. I've got more financial stability. I can give him things and nurture him in different ways that maybe I didn't. So that's probably one of my regrets in life. And it's not really a big thing that makes me upset or anything, but I just think of that. And I say it to him too, because now he's 18 and I'm like, one more year, you might be me. And that freaks me out. And I say to him, man, I'm not going to be the granddaddy looking after you when you're going to go clubbing, mate. Good luck. No chance. So be smart. But that's given me a lot of perspective lately, just seeing my son being a man, pretty much turn into a man. Regret wise too. Besides that, man, honestly, that's it. Like, besides that, all the way I've lived and chose to live, it's all taught me very valuable lessons and made me into who I am. And there's been a lot of failures, man, through that period. But again, it's helped me be a better person, which I'm grateful for. So
that's awesome. Before we dive into where you're at now, because you did post the Instagram story, which I screenshotted. Before we dive there, one of the things that I love, for me, for all of the men that we work, like in our academy, it's really about, I believe, taking ownership and responsibility for all facets of your life, whether it's learning to understand your emotions, if you wanted to start a side hustle or a business, like learning all of those steps, stripping it back to where you're really at and going, fuck, this is what I need to learn in order to move forward. So for you, literally, like I was saying, started with a couple of $1,000, have built a multi-million-dollar empire. What were some of the key things that helped you achieve that?
Mindset, firstly.
And when you say mindset, like, what is that?
A growth mindset. So always backing yourself and always wanting more in the sense of growth with your business and willing to do what it takes to get there and being realistic about it as well. That whole thing about not giving up even when, willing. For me, I always explain it like this. I was willing to die for what I believed in and make happen. And that's the truth. Like, I was willing to sacrifice what it took to get there. So every day I'd wake up and think, how am I going to pull this off? But I was all in. I was an all-in attitude. And I think that if you don't have that, if you think you can't wake up and not know whether you're going to go bankrupt tomorrow or, you're going to, because business is like that. One day you're there and you're winning. Next minute you're really going to lose everything. And it's like hot and cold, up and down roller coaster. Yeah. And you can go through in the 8 hours of business day, you can, every hour is like that. And it's mental, like it actually is. So if you can't handle that stuff, you don't do it. Like, honestly, don't do it. Go and live out someone else's dream and help them achieve it and get a good pay. And resilience is something that I talk about a lot. It's not something you can learn, though. You have to experience things to learn. So you need to have a lot of like hardships. I think that's the thing too. Like, I think people that have had a lot of hardships in their life are better at business as well. Because you can take a blow, you can take a hit, and you know how to bounce back, or you have a tolerance for those sort of things.
Do you think though as well? Because there's probably some people who haven't had hardships, but they are hungry. Do you think like you can put yourself in situations where you can get hit to sort of build?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Like, no, you're not kind of born that way. I guess you kind of, through life experience.
School of hard knocks.
That's it, man. Absolutely. So, I mean, you can learn and build resilience up and tolerance up after many years. But, you got to be ready to expose yourself to the elements, basically.
Take the risks.
Yeah. Besides that, besides the mindset, I think being really resourceful as well. So when you have nothing, you become super resourceful in your goal to achieve something great. And when I say that, for me, networking has been extremely powerful in building relationships in my life. I generally make a lot of friends wherever I go of that sort of personality type, and make really strong connections with people. So that kind of helped me in the first few years of the business, because, when you have those sort of relationships, especially in my industry where it's manufacturing and creating things, your suppliers became, basically your backers. So building, I've got one person in particular that, it's funny, when I first started my business, like I had obviously not much money. And I pitched my idea to many people because I wanted them to basically give me stock for free so I could make my products. And there's this guy in Sydney, I basically told him my life story and where I was at and what I was going through. And he was like, all right, I'll send you a pallet and see what you can do with it. And for me, that guy to me is like
a legend.
Yeah, he's still my sort of like mentor in ways. But that's the sort of relationships I've built over the years. So I think that's really important too.
I think people really undervalue that. Like, that's, for me, it's like one of the most important parts of it, and I'll plug our academy. But like, we've got so many incredible people, who are successful in their own right from all walks of life. Some guys who run multi-million-dollar businesses, to people who have incredible lifestyles, to are just the most present, adventurous people. And it's like, for me, networking with them and then networking with their networks, and like who you can get connected to and the opportunities that you can have given to you, or even just the conversations that you can be a part of that may teach you that one thing that changes your life, is something that I never take for granted. And there's that saying, your net worth is correlated with your network. And it's so true, man. Like, I was always like, fuck off.
Nah, man, opportunities massive. Yeah, absolutely. One more thing too, I just thought of this, which is probably one of the most powerful things I think for me. Yeah, is that. Yeah, it's hard when people ask me questions like that, because I haven't written notes. I wish I did. I'll probably have better things to say. But
it is what it is.
It's coming from the heart. Don't get caught up on money, because I think what happens if people is that, you have a business. Let's say it starts making a little bit of money, and you think it's your money, and that's a big problem. And I think that you need to invest and reinvest in your business for a considerable amount of years before you, even if you can afford to, not pay yourself or pay yourself less than your own staff. I did that, and I still do that. Actually, I'm not the highest paid. Well, that's another thing. But on the books, basically, and that's the way I think you should always be. Like, act like you've got nothing, and that's a really important thing. And until you really, really in a space where you don't need to reinvest in your business, just keep doing that. And because otherwise, I've seen it all too well, like where people make a bit of money and they go and buy, a Mercedes or whatever they do, and next minute, a rough couple of months come from the business, and next minute it's up like it's, you know what I mean? So,
mate, I swear by that. Like, I legitimately just keep my money in my business. I pay myself a fuck all salary. But it's good because I don't spend money, and I the one thing that you said earlier was like being resourceful. Like,
definitely,
I still am like a startup in my head. Like, I still am, but it's like I just am resourceful in ways that if I had all the cash in my personal bank account, I'd be like, oh yeah, ding, 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 ding. Now I'm like, well, how can I do this? Or who do I know on my network that can help me with this? And that's what I've continued to do.
Yep.
And then if we do go through down periods, there's a healthy bank account there to sustain through the winter, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is
a great way to be, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've also learned a lot of lessons from talking to people like yourself and, some other great mates who, once again, in the same sort of position. But let's talk about this Insta story.
Yeah.
Not the one where you're talking about your shirt. But do you want to read it out, or do you want?
Oh, you can read it out.
Yeah, I'll read it out.
I feel embarrassed reading it out myself.
Mate, honestly, I was just sitting there, and as soon as I finished reading it, I was like, we got to fucking talk about this. 'Cause this is real. I'm taking a long period of time off very soon to smell the flowers and live out my dreams. I wish I was David Attenborough reading this. It was like
voiceover,
Matthew McConaughey. Sometimes I feel stuck, like I'm a slave to the empire I built with a goal to be free. If anything, I feel more trapped than I have ever felt before in my life. The journey has been worth it. I've lived out my dreams. It's come at a great sacrifice and risk. I've lost a lot. I've gained much more, and I'm grateful, but I'm burnt out. I'm ready for a new chapter in my life, and I want to help and inspire others. Reminder, nothing worth having comes easy. Personal growth is hard when you have to face what's inside and deal with it. That's why we distract ourselves to avoid and cope with what is underneath the surface shit we put up with. I've faced my demons a lot over the last few years. I seek inner peace, love, and I want to live life to the fullest. You can pretend, but eventually it all creeps up on you, and you will have to face it all you've been hiding for, even if it's on your deathbed. What inspired you to write that?
I just wanted to be my authentic self always.
Yep.
Like we talked a little bit about social media, how people just see one little thing and they, the fancy stuff. But I think I've always been, I think there's a lot of power in being vulnerable with people.
Yep.
And I've always been that way, maybe sometimes too much.
Yep.
But I've never been too scared to speak up. And because I know there's a lot of people out there that probably feel the way I do. And sometimes like you can feel extremely lonely in your thoughts like that and feel like you got no one that relates. So putting it out there for me is like really empowering as well, because I hate manifesting words. But I could tell you more so. But that's me like making a statement and setting a goal, because I know I'm accountable now too, because I have friends and family that have reached out and seen that and they're going, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, because this is great for me. This is powerful for me. This is what I want to do. And what forced me into that position and where my head's at, like I've been thinking and feeling this way for years, man. Like it's been 12 years since I started my first business in my garage, and I've put so much into it. And you go through, it's so incredible the things that I said something the other day. It was like, when I had nothing, I wanted everything. And now I have everything, I want nothing. And that to me is exactly where my head's at. And not trying to like brag and tell everyone what it is, but like having flash cars, which I've had, nice houses, the travels for Instagram pics, the beautiful meals out, all those things that you chase and you dream of having. Like, I guess it really comes down to what's really like aligns with your values and what you want from life. But at one point in my life, I wanted all these things, right?
You got it.
And I got it all. And then I realized, this doesn't, some of it, it all has been incredible, but I was also like, well, I still don't feel like I'm any better of a human. I don't feel like I'm content. I don't feel extremely happy or full of love. And, and then I think and lately I've just been like, what makes me feel like I'm worth, living is worth it, and what makes me feel really, content. And it's not those things. It's none of those things that I thought they were, that I wanted. And, I'm in an interesting phase where, like I said, I've set out to do some pretty incredible things in my life, and I've achieved all of that. And, my son now is a man next month, and he's going to do his own thing.
Yep.
And I've got this like huge world around me that there's a lot of other crazy things out there that maybe I want to seek and experience. And I don't want to be like in my 40s or even 50, whatever age it is, and go, I work too hard. And I also don't want to die and people tell me, like, go funeral and go, he was such a good businessman.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Like, oh, sick. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Like
anything else?
And that's why I don't want, this is the thing, I feel like I've been defined so much in my life by success. And yeah, I know it's really inspiring and I love inspiring people, and it's powerful for me because I so many people get so excited, and I want to share the message of like, go out there and chase your dreams 100%. But my goalposts have shifted and my dreams are different now. Like, I don't dream for Lamborghinis anymore. Like, I dream about having a nice little farm where I can raise some chickens and maybe go to the beach and surf all day, and then maybe can travel the world and have a sloth on my shoulder in Costa Rica. Like that, and that's actually really is a dream of mine. But you know, and I want to have a beautiful woman in my life, and I want to have love, and I want to have a nurturing, caring relationship where I can share everything with that person. I want to have my son that just adores me and looks up to me as a role model. I want my friends and family to turn to me for support, and while I'm breathing, feel like I'm contributing something great to their lives. And that's what matters to me. And, you know, lately I've just been like so bogged down in, lately when I say 12 years of bogged down of attaching myself to like success and how I measured it, that I kind of lost myself.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, man. Like I lost myself because although, like I said, all those things were great, but now I'm on this new journey of like something else. I want something more. So that's where it's at. That's why I put that up, man.
Man, I love it. And for me, reading it, like, it just made me, I read something recently where it was like, for a lot of us, the purpose of life is to live a life minimizing regret.
Mm.
And we have literally every single person right now has something that they could be doing that they are like, oh no, I might want to stay in this job because it's comfortable, even though they might enjoy. For me, it's, you know, we've spoken about before, like moving overseas again.
Yeah.
It's like at the beginning I was like, no, life's good here. Like, I'm really onto something in Brisbane. But then I'm like, when I'm 80, I'm not going to look back and go, well done, Lachie, you stayed where you were comfortable. Yeah, awesome. It's like, I can always come back.
Yeah.
But like the next chapter is where and this is once again what we spoke about earlier, like listen to your gut. And if you do feel trapped, as you were saying there, or if, you know, even if you have achieved amazing things, it's still okay to not be content with where you're at.
Yeah.
It's like, definitely, we grow and evolve as people and we want different things. So listen to that.
Yeah.
Like success changes, and, you know, you had a son early, but I see a lot of my mates who are having kids now, and, you know, 35s and with businesses, and they're going from like these hard ass businessmen to like, oh man, I'm just hanging out with my kids this week. And I'm like, awesome. Yeah. Cool. You don't need to be the business. You don't need to always be like that. And I think that's something I'm struggling with as well, as my identity is my business. And I see people, I put a video up on Instagram when I was in Europe, because when I watch like other coaches posting stuff, I love it. But I also then go, fuck, I'm not doing enough. Like I'm on holidays. I should be working. Yeah. And then, so for me, I was like, unfollow, just because I needed to protect my own well-being. Yeah. And I think some people won't even do that because it's like, oh, what if they judge me for unfollowing them or whatever? It's like, do whatever the fuck makes you happy and just trust your gut. Like, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you're going to make the right choice, or you're going to learn from it pretty quickly.
That's a real powerful realization you got, man.
Oh, massive. Yeah. Like a lot of introspective thinking happening now. Yeah.
Yeah, which is sometimes can be a bit torturous when you have a mind like that too, where you are introspective all the time because you're constantly reflecting and reviewing. It can be draining, but it's also, you know, for, I guess, the greater good of your being, because you want to be a better person. And they like, well, for me anyway, I just want to, tomorrow I want there's some sort of something inside me that I could probably be a better person, a version of myself that I wasn't yesterday. So
100% my things like do something today to be better for tomorrow. And I think I don't know whether you experience this, and you probably would with all the staff and responsibilities that you have. But for me, it's like I really love where my life's at, and one of the most important things for me is to make sure, you know, I said fucking 8 years ago, when I got to this point, I'm going to surf all the time, I'm going to travel a heap, I'm going to do this, and here I am, and it's like I can do all of these things, but I don't allow myself to do that. Or if I do, you know, go away like I did, it's like still in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm not doing enough. It could fall apart. Like I'm focusing on these doubts. So there's a lot of stuff that I got to work on. And one thing you said a moment ago, which really resonated with me, was like, when you feel like you have everything you ever wanted, you end up wanting, what was it?
Nothing.
Yeah, wanting nothing. And so I just want a simple fucking life. Like I want a purpose, and I want to be ambitious in a way that I'm not connected to so many things.
Yeah.
Saying that is, I'm doing a podcast on that to everyone.
But let's be realistic too. You can't, in this society that we've built, we're on this, like, this is how I see it. We are on a merry-go-round that's going faster, and we definitely can't get off it. So while we're here, we have to work on ways that we can stay on the merry-go-round, maybe jump on a different horse. So, and is that a good analogy?
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That's my next caption.
Yeah, I'll use that as like a reel on here.
But that's kind of how, and I said that, I think, to my partner at the time, right now, actually. I said something like that the other day, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's so true. But what I'm trying to say is, like, in this society, again, people criticize for what I'm about to say, but money has to be a part of your life. I don't care who you are, that you have to. Yeah. It's a part of everything. There's an exchange between system, things. Yeah. So you got to wonder what sort, and then it just comes down to, all right, well, with your vision, what sort of lifestyle do you want? And this is where people get caught up, because you go from, like as a all right, ego-driven young boy who probably just wants the world. You got flash cars on your wall, naked girls on your wall. You listen to rap. But this is where like, this is my son and all these mates. They're all like, bitches and whatever, and gold chains and all that stuff that I've done and been through, all that crap. But like, so you envision your life this way and that way, and then you kind of like, you try and get money to maintain that lifestyle or whatever it may be, and then eventually you start realizing that doesn't mean anything to you as you evolve as a human being. And things become more important to you. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that. Yeah, I guess the vision of your life has to come. Also, you need some form of sacrifice or commitment to get financial freedom to live that lifestyle, even if it means that you're in a community out in the bush somewhere, eating organic food and like doing hot yoga naked or whatever it is you want to do, which sounds actually awesome. But
the day we got outside, perfect.
But yeah, true. But yeah, you're still going to have money. So you need to have a master plan. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, yeah, you can either work for someone else for the rest of your life, or you can chase your own dreams and do it. But you're going to have to, at some point in your life, you're going to have to work for it. So
legit. And like, too many people realize that too late. It's like once you've had the kids and you've got all these additional expenses and stresses, and they're like, fuck. And that's why we see so many people wanting a higher minimum wage and all of this sort of stuff. And I'm like, right, well, you're probably going to get 10 cents an hour or whatever. Why don't you find a way to really take responsibility and, upskill to the point where your boss is like begging to give you a pay rise?
Yeah.
Or if you want to go start your own thing, start your own fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like
the victim mentality is pretty big too out there.
Mate, massive. And that's what like I was saying to you before when we were in the States. So I nearly made me dry.
No, it's all right.
When I was in the States, like I've never really experienced an environment like that where legitimately as soon as we got into the community in Nashville, everyone's like, I'll help you. You got to meet this person. What can I do to help? Like I was just like, what's going on? Like, is Ashton Kutcher going to jump out and like punk me or something? Because in Australia, like people say they want to help, and I'm probably guilty of this as well. But then when push comes to shove, there's a little bit of competitiveness there, or we're busy doing our own things. But it's just so interesting in the way the world works. And I think, I guess to finish off with is like, it's so important to have a good environment, and the environment being the people that you surround yourself with, like the people that are supportive and challenge you on your beliefs and want to make you successful or help you be the best version of yourself. Yep. And then secondly, being in an actual environment that can do that, right? Like, so maybe for me, that next step is being in Nashville where I feel I can be supported to go to that next level.
Yeah, man.
And, so I think that's an important thing to consider.
You find your tribe in life, for sure. I will say though, on the quest for greatness, it can be very lonely.
Yeah.
For me, I've outgrown a lot of relationships in the last, 15 years of my life, which is quite sad, but it's just the way it goes. And, the sad thing about success when I say success, it's like so broad because you measure it by whatever you want to achieve, right? But let's talk about money for a second.
Yep.
Or, because that's financial success is like what people probably assume success is, right? So let's just say that, for example, you become very desensitized to money. You become desensitized to human everyday struggles because your friends that aren't sort of going to the next level in their lives. They're happy, they've plateaued at some point. They're happy with their norm, everyday, ordinary, or that's rude, I shouldn't say ordinary, but their lives and what they want. Yep. And you're here, right? So you don't know what it's like, the struggle anymore. So when you want to go out for dinner and it's $30 for a meal and they tell you they can't go because they haven't got any money, you become really unrelatable very quickly too. Yeah. So then you feel very isolated, and then it's kind of like society turns on you because you're this 1% rich person now all of a sudden, and you should be paying more tax, and these guys, you should be giving these people more money because you've done the hard work. So there's this real imbalance too right now of that sort of mindset too, when I said victim mentality before. But when you're talking about tribes and people, I thought I had all the people in the world around me when I started out, and I did. But what happened was I started triggering them. I started triggering people because I didn't want to sit around and smoke bongs anymore and sell drugs and fucking drink piss every weekend and do all those things that a lot of the network of people that I was doing. I didn't want to sit around and have mindless conversations about shitty things that don't interest me and don't, push me to be a better person, or, provoking worldly conversations. I didn't want any, people, you remove yourself, and the further you remove yourself, you either you level up and you start getting yourself around people that are similar mindset to you. But then sometimes it's very, they say it's very cliche, but it's lonely at the top. It really is, man. And, and then you can sit there and complain about your rich man struggles or your rich woman struggles. Yep. And everyone's like, oh, fuck you. Poor you. What are you talking about? You're complaining because you can't put new rims on your Range Rover. Yeah. Oh, I'm sitting here trying to struggle to pay my fucking rent this week. You know, so like there's a lot of that for me that I've gone through in my life too. And this is the thing about, trying to humble yourself sometimes, because, again, when you get to that point and then you realize that how out of touch you are with a lot of common people's problems, that it's like I don't want to live that way again or struggle, but I want to be empathetic again, and I want to understand, and I want to feel like I can relate to everyone and love everyone equally. So there's things like that too. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I don't know where that came from.
That was awesome to listen to.
Yeah.
That was cool. And something that so many of us never have to think about or question. Yeah. Because we only seen life through our lens, and obviously when you've gone from one to the other, you've got more, a great perspective on both of them. Yeah,
and I think that's a hard thing for me, and still to this day, like I get a little bit upset about it sometimes because I'm like, I know what it's like to struggle. People, that's the thing, that tip of the iceberg thing again. Like people only see this version of me now. They don't know that, I was a young single dad on Centrelink paying, and struggling, not being able to do all the things I'm doing now. Like I've come from that world, but the difference with me is I wasn't happy with that world. Yep. And that's the problem I have with a lot of this victim mindset. Is like people will sit there and they'll criticize you and try and drag you down because they really want what they think they want what you have, but they're not prepared to work for it. Yep. And that's the hardest thing in society right now for me that I'm really struggling with. And you mentioned a little bit just before about the minimum wage and stuff like that. Yep. Like I'm seeing that a lot in the business world right now. It's like the expectation of salary since COVID. Yeah. I'm blown, man. I do not understand what's going on there. People coming in for admin roles asking for 120K. Like just out of uni, like what is happening? Yeah. So like there's a lot going on there. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see where that goes though, because it's that sense of entitlement. And it's like, well, you need to add value to this is where it makes it really hard to want to grow a company.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's like, oh, here you've just earned this much, here's another tax. You've got a certain number of employees, here's another tax. And it's like, whoa, I'm providing jobs for people and feeding families essentially as a result of that. So where's the...
Man, I'm very outspoken about this stuff because for me, I'm employing people, I'm contributing greatly to the economy. So then you're going to hit me for, I don't know if half people who listen to this, do they know what payroll tax is? So, have you heard of it?
Yeah, I know what it is.
I
was just shaking my head. Yeah.
It's mental. Yeah. So if you go out there and employ a whole bunch of people and give people jobs and they can pay their mortgages and feed their families now, you got to pay more tax because you've given more people jobs. That's fucking mental. You're stimulating the economy, but give us more money on top of that. Yeah. Another crazy thing which is rich man problems, but land tax. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's mental too. So you work really hard. You get very comfortable, and as you get smarter with your money. You start investing in certain things. You build this wealth up, and the next minute they hit you because you got too much land. We're going to make you pay more tax.
Yeah,
that's mental. And like, I can complain about all these things, like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like that mentality of let's just tax the rich more money and this and that. Like, not really considering that a lot of like successful people are probably the biggest payers of tax. I know there's this myth out there that these big corps are like paying no tax. Yeah, that happens, but there's majority of rich people are paying a lot of fucking tax.
But they're still paying more tax than the modern. I remember Elon Musk. Like, I saw something, whether it's true or not. He still shaved a heap of tax, like made a heap of tax savings, and tax savings are there for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Utilize them. But he saved X amount, but he still paid like a fucking astronomical amount of tax, like more than anyone would pay. And they're like, no, he's not paying enough tax. It's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, why would you pay more tax if you didn't need to?
That's what most people are doing, right?
Yeah.
And so that, I can empathize because I've been there when I was a chippy and I didn't want to work, and I was like, how can I? Or even when I was a bartender, right? I'd work past 11 a.m. Sorry, 11 p.m. You'd work the night shift because then you got to $22 an hour from 18 or whatever. I was like, sick. This is awesome. I'm making bank. And you're always looking for ways you can make that. But back then it was through working the shit hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Doing the jobs no one else wanted to do. Now a lot of people expect that. And for me, I don't think, businesses are going to start saying, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to use machines now because they do the same job as you.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ask for more money all the time. It's like without adding any more value. I'm happy to negotiate if you're going to add more value to my business or whatever. 100%. That's what we want.
Yep. And the scariest thing about this, and not to be all doom and gloom, but
let's finish on the doom and gloom.
Yeah. No, I don't like this, but this is another subject that's very I'm outspoken a fair bit about is this current situation in the economy of inflation. People are kidding themselves if they don't think the Great Depression is around the corner. And again, we're kidding ourselves if we don't know what the major contributor to what's going on, and that was the COVID thing that happened, and we shut down economies, and that's contributed significantly to what's going on. And now we've got inflation happening, we've got mortgages going up, and then we've got this salary expectation to match where the inflation's at. But that's actually not going to happen. What's going to happen is businesses are going to say, no, you're going to take a pay cut. And that will happen soon. Yep. Eventually there'll be a trend and people they'll realize that they can't get what they're wanting anymore, and people are going to have to settle for less. So my suggestion also, if anyone listening out there, is like, be really happy with where you are right now and try and negotiate and, get a decent salary, because I think, and find a good job that you resonate with, because I think unemployment's about to go up. Definitely. I feel that way. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of industries that are going to suffer for many years right now. In my business, we're down over $2 million from last year. It's scary stuff. Like, these are the things I deal with daily. Supply issues. Some of our ingredients have gone up 500+% in the last 12 months. You can't get some of the stuff. There's delays. There's price hikes. It's a very scary time to be in business for sure. And I am very concerned about the economy. Yeah. So that's my doom and gloom. Sorry, guys. so batten down the hatches. Yeah. That's my advice. And seriously, if you are over invested and over your head in debt and stuff, or whatever it is, like, really try and minimize what you're doing right now. And because I think shit's about to hit the fan hard. Yeah. We'll
see how it unfolds. We might be drawing this up in a couple of years' time.
I could be wrong, but that's how I feel anyway.
Yeah. Touch wood. Let's hope you're wrong. Yeah. One last question. What's your definition of being a man? Didn't prep for this. I never prepped anyone.
Oh, man. You didn't prep me. I didn't take any notes on that.
Because it comes from the heart when you're not prepped.
Definition of being a man is these are qualities. I'm thinking about qualities for That's a second here. I think that a definition of being a man is someone who is comfortable in their own skin, emotionally intelligent, innately wants to provide and protect, can be extremely powerful, but not in a physical form. A man, for me, is also someone that can be a good guide of life in direction as well. Someone who has integrity.
Yep.
Yeah. The integrity is probably a really big thing, and integrity is what you do behind closed doors. So yeah.
And finally, where can people follow your journey if you want people to follow your journey?
I got an OnlyFans.
Do you?
No, I don't.
I was like, subscribe.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey. LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yeah, professionally. But if you want to see some really weird stuff, definitely jump on Instagram. 1T Matt is where you could probably see some of that.
Yeah, I'll link all that. You can find that out. Mate, thanks so much for having a yarn with us.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Thank you.
Now, before you leave, make sure you share this with a mate that you know will gain some value from it, and also take an extra 90 seconds to head on over to the platform, leave a review. It means a whole heap when you do that. Do something today to be better for tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachie Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.